According to the New York Times, people who have used these microdosing of psychedelics have felt enhanced attention and cognition, feelings of well-being and relief from anxiety and depression. I know people have such clunky stigma around drugs and what the effects can be, but I think things that are helping people's mental health are always going to be positive. Hey, everybody, all the people listening with your listening ears. This is Normalize This, the show where we, myself, and some other guy, he be, showing up, showing out sometimes, discuss whether or not ideas, trends, and behaviors should be normalized in everyday society. I'm Danielle Young.
And I'm the other guy who's showing up sometimes.
And showing out.
And showing out.
Yes. And today, Adam, we're going to talk about normalizing alternative medicine, alt meds.
Okay. I'm excited. I feel like you're going to be sort of my my guide in this. Yes, my shaman. You are. Because I am we can say it together, baby and scared.
Oh, a little scared little baby deer.
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
I am. I'm already so out of my mind already that
Well, you're good.
Thank you.
You're good.
Now I feel
Don't
good.
judge
Now I feel
yourself
ready.
so harshly.
Okay. All right. I won't.
And plus, I don't know nothing about nothing.
Okay. So then this is going to be really great. And also, as we talk about this, it's a good reminder that I'm not a doctor. Okay.
You're not.
And I'm also not a nurse.
Wow. I signed up because
you thought I was.
Doctor.
It's because I put MD at the end of my name. Right. That's why.
I put PhD, just in case.
In case anybody asks. Right.
I'm excited.
I know. I'm excited. And so while we have that conversation, keep sticking around afterwards because we're going to play. I hope you keep sticking around. Right?
I hope you're literally stuck.
Yeah. And not moving. Stuck in the pitch on the stairs. But listening. And as you're listening, we'll be playing a game later in this episode called Keep It or Curb It. And that's where Danielle and I decide whether we keep something in culture or we curb something in culture.
Yeah, because we are the decision makers around here.
We are. We were duly elected to that position.
It was like a landslide. Everybody voted for us.
Right, because we were the only two people
unopposed.
voting. Yeah. Still, it doesn't matter who was there. It just matters who showed up.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into any of the things, we have to get into the fun facts. Adam, historically, you're known for your less than fun facts.
Yeah.
Today, how do you feel? I feel the levity. I feel, LA is healing. There's some sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Is your fact fun?
Is my fact fun? What am I going to do? My first fun fact, I'm going to do a little rundown of maybe two of them.
Okay.
That have nothing to do with each other. My first fun fact is this is the first podcast that I've ever been a host on ever.
Nice.
So, and it's been, I would never want to host another podcast without you, Danielle. So that's my fun fact. And then my other fun fact is that I don't have another one in my back pocket. So yeah, it's kind of history repeating itself.
Your fun, history just kept going.
Yeah, it did.
But the fact that your fun fact involved me,
that's fun.
Honestly, I'm not mad.
Okay.
It was fun. It felt like a ride.
It's been fun for me so far, and I hope it continues to be.
It better be.
Yeah.
It bets to be.
Are you going to save the fun fact? Are you going to save this for us again? Because I, again, have left us
I always got to just make sure I come through with my cape.
Yeah,
which you always around
do.
Here.
Yes, I know.
You're welcome. Yeah, let me see. My fun fact. I will be, well, by the time this comes out, it would have happened already, but I will be hosting my second Real Quick Comedy Pop-Up. It is an event, a comedy show event that I've created here in LA for Black comedians. And yeah, I'll be doing my second one at High and Tight Barbershop here in LA. I'm very excited. It's Black and queer owned barbershop. And yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's my fun fact. I'm really doing my comedian thing here in LA. I'm very excited.
Yeah, you're killing it, Danielle.
I'm very nervous about comedy.
You shouldn't, because you're very natural.
That's how I feel.
Very funny.
I freak out up until the point where I get on stage. I'm actually still freaking out a bit on stage and like short of breath, but I try to like pull it together because I know that I can be conversationally funny. So at the very least, I can try to have a conversation with the crowd. But I'm really wanting to work hard on my joke delivery and pulling together punchlines and things like that. Just my chops as a comedian. So that's like literally what I'm in the midst of with these shows. I'm very excited to do.
Well, it's great. It's always good to like work that muscle and just refine it. So you're working your muscle.
Oh my goodness. So this episode, alternative medicine.
Right.
Listen, Adam, you have said it. You've told the people we are not doctors, even though you guys may think and may believe.
We speak like them.
We're just so smart and well studied that it could be an easy mistake. But we're not. We don't know nothing about nothing. As usual, we will be talking about our own personal experiences throughout the episode. So like, don't do anything we're doing.
Yeah. This is story time.
It's mostly just us going to be sharing our alternative medicine truths when we're thinking of alternative medicine. Because I feel like there's so many different types, from like down to like getting massages and acupuncture and doing Tai Chi, all the way to like mushrooms and ayahuasca. And I heard of a new, I don't know, it's new to me, that people use like toad venom.
I've heard that.
Or toad.
Yes, like it's like the poison or something, right?
Toad juice.
Yeah. Oh, that's what they call it.
That's what they call it on the streets.
Yeah. That's how you know it works.
That's how you know it works. Yeah. I think it's something that is, experimental, maybe even more so than the ayahuasca.
Yeah, you think so? They're still calling it toad juice.
Well, it's unofficial.
I like toad. I'm going with toad juice.
But I'm not about to microdose that. If I'm microdosing anything, it's shrooms. I definitely macrodose weed, marijuana.
Macrodose. But that's funny.
But listen, according to the National Library of Medicine, microdosing is typically defined by experts as taking 5 to 10% of a full dose of a psychedelic, usually LSD or other things that I don't know how to pronounce.
I feel like if you can't pronounce it, it's not like, going in my body.
It's one of those words with the P and the S, and there's C's and B's in there. Psilocybin, as a way to get mental health benefits of the drug without getting the hallucinogenic part of the drug.
Okay.
So that's like what microdosing actually is, not just being like, oh, let me just take a little bit of shrooms. It's like fully measured out moment, knowing that you're getting more of the mental health benefits than the hallucinogenic benefits.
Okay. So I'll say I've never done this, but I'm very open to it and very wanting to try it.
Ooh.
And I have a friend who's a good friend of mine who like microdoses with mushrooms and says that it's fantastic. They're like they don't drink, and so they really like having these like microdoses of like these little pieces of chocolate that have mushrooms
I think just like with anything, it can microdosing can go down a slippery slope.
It can lead to macrodosing, as we learned.
You can open up the macrodosing. I think it's just because you're getting these like bursts of great feelings, because you're dealing with something that is usually psychedelic. And so you're getting these really amazing, soft and beautiful, warm, wonderful feelings. And let's say the feeling is over in an hour. And then you're going to microdose again. So, I mean, it seems to me that microdose can easily turn into macrodosing because you're just doing it reoccurringly through your day, just getting like improvement, mood booster, like just mood booster moments.
Yes. So like, is that how long it lasts? Does it only last about like an hour or so, or like?
I think the effects of marijuana kind of wear off within like 30, 45 minutes, or, you start to feel.
We've had different experiences with weed.
Depending on how you consume it. Like edibles, if you do too much, can have you really stuck.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you my experience when we're talking about like weed.
Okay.
And my experience is that like I've had like, a few huffs and puffs of a joint, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like fine. I don't feel like kind of anything. I feel a little like, I don't know. I probably just did it wrong or like whatever. But it's the edibles where I go, oh, I think I'm feeling a little something. I've never done it right. And I've always thought that I've been close to doing it right. But what it leads me to is like the worst anxiety I've ever had in my entire life.
Oh, yeah. See, sometimes the effects of drugs can do that.
Right.
It depends on the strain and all things like that. It can get you in your head and you're trying your best to be normal. And it's like, now you're in your head about that.
Okay.
But
interesting.
Yeah, like which is why I feel like people do like microdosing it, because like it does feel like these little just boost moments. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like, you're like, oh, I'm paying more attention, or I feel like loving. I feel creative. I feel open, especially if you're a person that normally just feels so like frustrated and angry and all these things. It feels like those feelings are not there.
Mm-hmm.
When you have those effects of like shrooms. Anything you do without moderation can get to be a little much.
Totally. Yes.
According to the New York Times, people who have used these microdosing of psychedelics have felt enhanced attention and cognition, feelings of well-being and relief from anxiety and depression. So it's reported that most people do have these positive feelings.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a lot of people do. I think a lot of people, like when it's supervised by a professional or you're getting some sort of like professional advice on how to microdose properly, I feel like people have a lot of really positive experiences with it.
Oh, yeah. I think apparently there's not too much research out about microdosing and things like that just yet. It's hard to say that because I know people have such clunky stigma around drugs and what the effects can be.
I feel like possibly part of the reasoning that this isn't sort of like an option with doctors is there's not a lot of research into it, so that it's not something that they would recommend because there's not a lot of like studies that have been into it. You know what I'm saying? Like I wish that there were more studies done on this and the effects and the long-term effects so that it's becoming more in the mainstream. So I hope that like, I think I've even heard of like different ketamine treatments like done through psychologist or a psychiatrist. I also think that like if you're taking it in the setting, like in a medical setting, you have a completely different mindset about it as well.
Oh yeah.
That, like it feels safer. It feels like it's in a more controlled setting that like, like you're not going to make a mistake, or like a mistake is like out of your hands, or if something happens, like somebody's there to like make sure that you're going to come out of this okay.
Have you ever watched High Maintenance on HBO?
No. Should I? Yes.
Yes, you for sure should watch. It's a really great series. It's very funny. It's about this weed man in New York City, and just how like his customers are all these different types of characters and things. And it's just funny. It's really well done. Shout out to Ben Sinclair. I really love him as a writer, producer, actor. He stars in it as the drug dealer, or, the weed man. But there was this doctor, funny enough, I think he was a vet, who started microdosing. And I think he was microdosing with shrooms, if I'm not mistaken. But it was like very similar to how we were speaking about like, oh, he would like he took a little piece and like he just started having like this just wonderfully great days. Like, because he's known, I think he was typically known to be kind of just standoffish or short, you know, just kind of like cold. And so, yeah, like as he started microdosing, people started noticing around the office that he was just like lighter and funny and just jovial and all this stuff. And then he got to a point where it was like, oh, he'll take a little piece before he leaves for the day. But then he got the notion one day to like take it with him and then to keep microdosing throughout the day. And then the microdosing became macrodosing. And then all of a sudden he's like doing weird stuff with with patients who are animals. And like the owners are like, what's going on? And then he ended up like having this like psychotic break walking through the city. And it just kind of like shows you like a progression of how things can go. Not to say that this is what could happen to you, but I think mostly when it comes to addiction, you just keep chasing that same first feeling.
Yeah.
That initial high that was like, oh my God, I feel beautiful and powerful and wonderful. I want to feel it all the time. But truth be told, I don't think we're supposed to feel like that all the time.
No.
Like the Limitless drug. So. Do you remember that movie with Bradley Cooper?
Yes, I do.
I don't think we're supposed to feel that great all the time.
No, I mean, that's like a tough pill to swallow. No pun intended. But like I think that, yeah, I know. And I think that's why, like, in my own mind, I'm like, if there were some sort of like rules around this or like guidelines of like how to do it, I would feel like, okay, you know, now would be the time to do it. And this is the right amount. And then you can do it and you leave it and it's done. And then like, you know, you can do it again. But like, I don't know. I'm totally rambling because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But like, I'm so curious. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. What about normalizing other alternative medicines outside of just, you know, that we've been talking about shrooms and things like that. But like, obviously, I'm a fan of the Mary Jane.
Yes.
I think that should be normalized also in moderation.
You know what's so crazy about, like, I mean, even if we just think a few years ago of like the stigma around like marijuana.
I know, like people are still in prison.
Yes.
For marijuana charges.
I know.
And now you can just walk into a dispensary and get you some cutely packaged weed.
Yeah. Which is so unfair
like,
and
free
unreal.
My people.
Yeah. I mean, all of those marijuana charges from years ago, those people need to be released. And
yeah, it's a little nuts to me because also it's getting to a point now where alternative medicines are a lot more available and doctors are looking at, you know, benefits of marijuana, especially CBD with certain patients and things like that. And apparently the FDA has approved THC-based medications like prescribed in pill form, which is like amazing, especially because so many patients deal with the side effects of chemotherapy and things like that. And it's very helpful. Obviously, weed has not been known to be very helpful for those type of patients with their appetite and just overall mood and things like that. So I just think that there's so many benefits that could work. It's just, what is the stigma? Why do people feel that certain drugs are not allowed to be cute for the people?
Yeah.
Medically sound.
I think part of the stigma is like, I mean, like, is the lack of research and the messaging behind it. Like, you know, like when we were in school, I mean, I was like in that DARE program.
Yes, I was very serious about DARE too.
It's good and it's bad to like teach kids about whatever, but it's not nuanced at all. And they're not teaching you anything.
It's like, it's just,
you know, it's like avoiding sex ed. Right?
Yeah. It's like teaching abstinence is, let's do something better. The kids are maybe not abstaining. So let's teach them something that's practical. If they do have sex, what are some ways that you can protect yourself? The same thing with drugs. It's like, we need to, I don't want to be on a soapbox out here, but just decriminalizing the way that certain drugs are even considered. Like, not to say like, oh, we need to decriminalize meth. No.
Right.
Decriminalize the things that are actively health.
That's your political slogan.
Right.
Decriminalize meth. And it's just a gorgeous picture of you.
With no teeth. Um, but for the drugs like marijuana and shrooms, mushrooms in general are there's so many health benefits across the board. There should just be a destigmatization and criminalization around these things.
Mm-hmm. But I think that like there's just so many interesting smaller studies done on it that I think that if more research were invested into it, like it's really just like an untapped potential.
So even if you were looking at it from a financial point of view, considering all these people that you've placed in prison, legalized marijuana, the whole market is worth like $64 billion.
Yeah.
And it keeps getting more lucrative. I mean, listen, there's drugs like that we're used to as a society, like Advil, Aleve, and so many people take them as, pain medications and, things like the anti-inflammatories, but there's so many folks who can't even use that.
Oh, right. Oh, because if you overdose on them, you'll ruin your kidneys. Yeah.
OTC. Okay. Sell them to me over the counter because, you're already selling things that aren't good for so many people. So let's get to it. And then there's CBD.
Yeah. I mean, CBD seems to be like the most mild of all of these, right?
CBD has found a way to shed. I think it's because it's marijuana without the psychedelics.
Yes.
Similar to
I mean, I've used like CBD creams and stuff like that, or things that have it in. Like, I don't even know what I'm saying, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm like, well, what does CBD do to get this good PR rollout? Because maybe she can help the other girls, help the shrooms.
Yeah. It's time to find out who the publicist is behind CBD. Because they're nailing it, to be honest.
Nailing it. It's like, when's the next drop, CBD?
You know what? You're so right. Because CBD went 0 to 100 very quickly.
Yeah, and just very accepted.
Yes, you can find it at grocery stores.
So get it together.
Yes.
You know what? I didn't even know that people are according to the New York Times, because I will tell you that I saw it.
Please.
Ketamine is used as an anesthetic by vets in emergency situations.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that at all.
So I'm like, are they going to start using it on people? And is that is that bad? Is that good? How does this work?
Yeah. Huh. That's really
right.
Yeah.
Which means that it's a usable thing, because you're not going to just be using stuff on animals if it's not, if it's going to be bad, right?
Yes, I mean, if you use it on animals, sometimes that's a case to start working it into
humans.
Humans, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently the FDA approved limited use of a version of ketamine called S-ketamine in 2019.
Danielle, this has nothing to do with anything. This is me being so dumb. But when I think of animal testing, when people have makeup brands and whatever, and they're and it's not tested on animals, in my mind, and I know that this isn't how it works, and I know that that testing is awful and whatever, and the animals are getting burned from different chemicals or whatever. But in my mind, it's this rat wearing a red lip. And I know that that's not what it is.
It is. It's a rat wearing a red lip, smoking a joint.
Just a full face of Maybelline.
Testing out this marijuana and makeup.
Right. Stuart Little and a red lip. Yeah.
Yes, Stuart.
Right.
Is that Ruby Woo? Adam, what do you think we're normalizing about alternative medicine today?
I think that we should normalize keeping an open mind and keeping our eyes open for different research to come out and learning from different people who have been doing research on it, because there have been a lot of studies and there's been a lot of breakthroughs when it comes to these forms of alternative medicine. So I think that if you have this open mind about it, let's actually learn about it. What do you think we should normalize?
I think we should normalize microdosing and discipline.
Yes.
Don't allow yourself to do too much or, macrodose Don't do like me
My
and start
favorite term.
macrodosing. But yeah, if we're normalizing the microdosing with discipline, allowing yourself to feel those bursts of great energy, but like really leaning on that and not constantly chasing that first high that, because I think that's where the addiction comes from. But
Yes.
being open to trying something that is going to be beneficial for your health in a different way.
Absolutely.
Let's
I think
get
that's
it.
a great thing to normalize.
Mm-hmm. And lab rats with red lips.
Yes, Stuart Little, red lip.
Yes, honey. On K. Oh my goodness. Adam, drop that lipstick right now.
Okay. Fine.
It's not time to try it.
Mm-hmm.
No, for real though, I feel very strongly about our alternative medicine conversation, even though we are not doctors. But our medical advice is pretty sound.
Yeah, it is. I think you've earned that PhD that you've just been scribbling at the end.
I think I've earned it. I'm going to start doing it in italics.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah, just the H.
Yeah.
Now it's time for our favorite part of the show. Keep it or curb it. Yes, this is a segment where Adam and I take a look at new social trends and decide if they're worth keeping in our warts or sending it directly to the curb.
Yeah.
Like, just into the garbage.
Right. Like not in
with
our
old
hearts.
Banana peels, not away from our hearts.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, if it's your first time, I don't like that. You
Yeah,
really waited
on.
way too long to start listening. It's 26 episodes.
Yeah.
Now you got to go back and re-listen because I know you just like, oh, this sounds cool. I'm going to jump in. Like, you got to go back.
Danielle, you know what I think is so funny? I think we've been saying, if this is your first time, what have you been doing since the second episode?
Like, why is this your first time?
But also why?
And if it's your 26th time, congratulations. Insert a round of applause here.
Yes.
Look under your seats. There is going to be whatever
you
put under there. But no, thank y'all for being here and listening. We're going to do things a little different on Keep It or Curb It. Normally we talk about, some research topic and then we, discuss and everything. Now we're just going to do a little quicker, a little rapid fire. So Adam, you ready to go fast with these?
I'm ready to spit fire.
Because you got to go with your first mind on whether you want to keep it or curb it.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Are we keeping or curbing telling any kind of lie in order to leave drinks?
Keep.
I know that's right. I'm good for telling my friend to call me and tell me it's an emergency.
You just gotta go.
Sometimes you just gotta leave.
Yeah. Okay. Keep. All right, Danielle. You and I were both dog owners, right? So are we going to keep or curb when another human is present, not talking to your animal in the voice when you're alone together? No, we're curbing. I'm keeping.
I'm going to do what I want.
Exactly. 100%. I'm not changing.
I mean, I tried to think about how I just by default show up with Rigatoni when I'm alone. I do baby talk him. But I think I do it a little bit in public and with people, just not as much.
Yeah, agreed. I think I don't really baby talk Tony too much. I speak to him sort of like he's a 33-year-old man like myself. So
how do you speak to him?
I'm like, Tony, what are you doing? Come here. I don't, and I feel like if I talk to him like that, maybe one day he'll respond.
I always talk to Rigatoni like he's gonna respond. I don't know. It's very stupid.
Yeah,
but
I know, but I
don't
love
know.
it.
I'm a baby talker.
Yeah. I do love some baby talk. Yeah, so keep.
What are you doing over there? And you chewing your bone. That's how I do. It's so annoying.
I love it though. I love it.
Keeping. Talking like I won't.
Exactly.
Okay. Are we keeping or curbing if you bring food or drinks to a house party or get together in general, you leave the food or drinks there and do not take them home?
I think we keep that. unless they tell you to take it. I think if you're taking it, yeah. I think if you brought it, you leave it.
This one, I don't know. Yeah, you're bringing it to the party. So it's the host now. Like,
Yes.
I don't believe in showing up empty-handed to anyone's home in general.
Yes.
But if
agreed.
I'm coming to a party and I'm bringing a part of a libation of some sort, I'm not going to then be like, oh, you didn't drink my Hennessy, I'm taking it. That's weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I'm with that. And I think
that's
unless
weird
they're
energy.
Like, take it, like, okay, but you shouldn't be like, oh, well, we didn't finish this thing I brought, I'm taking it back.
Right.
You're only allowed to take a plate from like a barbecue.
Or just certain settings.
Like, yeah, I think read the room a little bit. Like, if it's like a little dinner party or like a little charcuterie, like some bites and some smokes on the side, I don't think we're making plates from Uber Eats bags. No. What? Yeah, do I think that is like crazy? But my second thing I'm going to say is I want to kind of be that person who like, it's a really logical thing to do if like food is going to go to waste, of like take a little bit with you. It's
because
so
I do
smart.
Think that
like
I am
it's
also
very
that
smart.
person. I think I am that person.
Like I want to kind of not give a fuck like that. Like I think it's very cool, but I do think it's very crazy. So to whoever that person is, I'm like, you are cooler than me, but I am scared of you.
Sincerely. Oh my gosh. That is so good.
But it's so true.
It's so true. So we are, in general, I think we are going to curb leaving
but
with
like
things.
I think like but as a society, yeah, I respect you,
and I want to be you in my next
kind of. Yeah, it's so cool. It is so cool.
Yeah, I love you, girl.
I have our last keep or curb.
Okay,
are you ready? Okay, are we gonna keep or curb splitting the bill evenly when you go out on group dinners with friends?
Lord.
Okay, what do you think?
This one is meaty, and I'm going to try to not make it as long. Okay. I believe in going out to fellowship with my people at whatever budget I have. If I'm broke, if I got it, whatever, I want to be with my people. I've been both, and I've wanted to be with my people in both. And because a lot of people say, oh, if you don't have money, maybe you shouldn't be going out. No, that's not fair.
No.
I still want to go out. And maybe I did get just fries and some water, and everybody's ordering caviar and champagne and shots and drinks. And I'm looking at them like, oh, I'm not getting all of that. So when the bill comes, I would much rather prefer to put down my money for the fries than split the $1,000 bill that y'all just racked up.
Right.
I don't think that's unfair. I think that's something maybe, as a friend, you discuss with one of your friends beforehand, or you could even, if you don't feel embarrassed, say it when the bill comes. Look, I know this is like controversial or whatever, but I only got the fries because I wanted to be here. And I know that y'all had a good time. So y'all can split it, but I'm just going to put this in. And real friends are not going to like gag you over that.
No.
I think you should be more supportive to your friend than make them feel bad for not wanting to split a bill that they didn't naturally contribute to. Now, there are situations where people go out and order and do the most and do contribute to that bill. Then we should be splitting it evenly. I respect the people that want their Amex points and have the ability to be like, hey, I'll take care of it. Y'all Venmo, send me PayPal, send me Cash App, whatever. It's easier to split in that way.
Yes.
But also if everybody's on the same type of time. Like it can't be just a disproportionate amount of things on one side and the other. It's such a sticky situation. I like it being even, but only if it's in an even context.
Yes. I think that listen, if you're eating a dinner and it's sort of like on par with like what everybody's having, like you're sharing an appetizer, you're getting a dinner, like you're getting a drink, maybe they have 2 drinks, maybe you have 2 drinks. I think that like if you're doing that, like the experience is like, I think maybe you split that. right? Like if everybody's sort of playing the same game. But I've definitely been the friend who's broke, who like, I'm getting the cheapest salad while everybody's getting drinks and dessert and everything. And I'm not touching anybody's thing. And I always felt that the best way to kind of go around this was to do this. One, just flat out tell your friends that like, I'm going to get this because this is like all I can do right now. Your real friends aren't going to judge you. And two, bring cash. So like if you have cash, then if your salad was like $10 and you're like, okay, here I go. I'm going to put down $15 and you're like, here's $15. You guys figure out what you're going to do with it. Then it's like, you're not trying to like, can we have the pen to like write down on the thing? Like you become less of an issue there.
Yes.
Of like, can you put this on that or whatever? You bring cash and then all of a sudden you don't need to be like really awkward about anything. They can use part of your cash towards the tip. They can like, it's so much easier and you've made yourself feel so less awkward. It's like the best advice I could give when you're like, I need to budget myself out.
Yeah, I agree with that one. The cash is really helpful. You just slide it across. But it's just a case by case basis. I want to keep the even bill splitting in an even situation, but curb it if you're trying to make me pay for things I didn't get.
1,000,000%.
If I definitely was trying to save my money.
Right. Because if I'm getting a side salad and you're getting a T-bone and 3 martinis, like that's not fair if we're splitting the bill. That's a crazy thing to like suggest.
Yeah, because I've also had friends show up who don't drink. And it's been like a drinky night. And all of a sudden the bill is kind of crazy. And they're like, oh, but you guys were like, y'all had like 7 drinks.
Yes. And you know what? I have been that person where it's like we're all getting dinner, but I'm not having drinks. So I've been that person where it's like, oh, let's just split it. And like, you're like, okay. And when it's been the opposite, I've always tried to make sure like, oh, you didn't drink. We'll find a way to make this even for you. Cause like your bill should be a lot lower than ours. I think that's a nice thing to do if you're noticing somebody's doing something that's like should make their like contribution to the dinner a lot less.
Right. Exactly. See, we know how to do these things.
Yes, we do.
Stick
we
with
really
us,
do.
Kids.
Yeah. Learn from us. Macrodose on this information.
Macrodose on our keep its and curb its.
Yes, please.
You guys, this is it.
This is it. Season 1.
Not only the end of Keep It or Curb It, it's the end of this episode. It's the end of season 1.
I know. Can you believe
Normalize this with me and Adam.
I know.
What an amazing
I can't believe
time.
it. It's been an amazing first season, Danielle. This has been so fun.
Instead of just from this episode, what do you think is your favorite takeaway from this season?
Honestly, this is so sap, but my biggest takeaway is getting to do this with you and learn more about you and become real friends. And yeah, that's my biggest takeaway.
Yes, Adam, I agree wholeheartedly. And I would like to also add to that the biggest takeaway of them all, I got rigatoni. Because of this podcast.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so true.
I got rigatoni because of this podcast, because of you mentioning Pups Without Borders and when you talked about where you got your Tony. Yes. And if you guys are listeners, then you know the story. But if it's your first time.
What have you been doing? Since episode 2, what have you been doing?
But no, you definitely know that I literally in real time typed in pupswithoutborders.com or org and found rigatoni on the podcast and needed him immediately and got him.
I know.
My whole life has changed.
Oh my God. It really has.
Yeah, he's behind me right now chewing on a bone.
Oh, I love our 2 Tonys.
So sweet, my little boy.
There you go. The baby talk.
There's the baby talk.
That's why we should keep it. It's real.
I'm going to close the show in baby talk. Okay. It's my little time for the day.
Yeah, everyone, we love you so much. Thank you so much for listening.
Literally. Thank y'all for listening so much. It really warms my heart that we get to do this show and have gotten to do this show, and that you continue to reach out to us on our socials to tell us things that we should normalize. I mean, it's over for now, but if you still want to DM me, to let me know what we should normalize, please do that. At the Danielle Young on Instagram and at RapsoDanny on Twitter. Adam, can the people still at you?
Yes, I would love if you would still at me on Twitter. I'm at Adam Rippon, and on Instagram, I'm at AdaRip. Please make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe. We're looking for those 5 stars.
All the stars.
And yeah, we love you. So I think that's it, Danielle.
I can't believe that's it.
I know.
Bye.
Bye. Hey listeners, we want to hear from you. Make sure you're following @MakeSpringHill on all platforms for weekly show updates.